This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, and third day of the week, which is the 23rd day of Elul, 5785, the Torah portion of Nitzavim. And the Daf Yomi today is 2 of Zivachim. We started a new order. An order is a set of tractates that follows a certain theme. We spent the last almost 2 years now, maybe a few months shy of 2 years, in the order of Nezikin. Let's see, when was it? It was around October time. No, not 2 months, just about a month. Right. We entered. Wait a minute. No, November time. I'm sorry. It was like early November of 2023 is when we started Bava Kama, the first tractate of the Order of Nezikin, and we spent from October of 23 until yesterday in the Order of Nezikin, and now we're starting the new Order of Kadshin, which is the Karbanos, the Korbanot, the sacrifices. We're starting Zvachim today, and this is not just a lunar and solar calendar. This is also a Daf Yomi calendar. And I'll start with the interesting thing about Daf Yomi, that yesterday, Horiot, very short tractate, the last page number is 14. It has in truth 13 pages, but the last page number says 14 on it. And yesterday on the calendar, it was box 14 by the law of rectangle, which means that 22 is next to 14. A purple and lavender, they merge into one composite thing called a rectangle. Otherwise, they're just boxes or squares. So yesterday was 14, and today, although it's actually on 10, but the same, the law of rectangle puts me in 2. And today is 2 of Zavachim, which is the first page, but it says page number 2, and this is box number 2. And we're in rectangle 210. Yesterday was 1422, 210. So there's some amazing things, and yesterday when I was reading it, I came up with 222, and like the references for the verses was like in Ohalot, it's a tractate, and it was 222, and yesterday's numbers were a combination of 2 and 22 on this calendar. So I don't know what's up with this calendar, but it's pretty accurate in things that come about, that happen on a regular basis, and I am just fascinated because the way I present this calendar is a theory of everything that presents itself in calendar form. It's a gematriatic theory of everything that presents itself in a multi-calendar form, in a concept that I haven't heard of it before, so as far as I know, it's come through, it's my own innovation, but nothing is of ourselves ultimately. It always comes from above. But it's called the Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendaring System of Data Mining, or of data gathering. And so it's a lunar and solar calendar, and it's also, there's different calendars within one calendar. It could potentially hold many calendars, and it is set to, I'm going to use this word kind of loosely, but it's set to reconcile all calendars and other things that go above and beyond calendars. They go into thoughts, disagreements, philosophies, but reconciliation in general. And so it deals with the 2 main calendars are the Jewish Hebrew calendar, the rabbinical calendar, the calendars that we establish all of our holidays with, and Rosh Hashanah, the new year is about to come soon, about to start a new Hebrew new year rabbinically, although it's the 7th month of the year, if you count the months from Nisan. And so there's some really amazing things that happened. This is based on, it's the same format as the 72-letter name of God, or the 72 names. And I'm going to try to explain this well. It's a little bit complicated, but Well, before I do that, I'll just tell the numbers for today. Today, the numbers are, okay, for September 16th, the box number is 31. Okay, the coordinates are F6. So box number 31, which corresponds to September 16th, is F6. So it's column F, row 6. And for 16th of Elul, the 23rd of Elul, 16th of September and the 23rd day of Elul. Okay? Sorry about that. All right, 23rd is box number 10. Okay? 10 is E7. Column E, row 7 is box number 10. And that's for the 23rd, not just of Elul. It's the 23rd day of September, 23rd day of Rabi El-Awwal on the Islamic calendar. Now, if you were following along in these PL-89 videos, you might remember that I was including the Islamic calendar date, which is also a lunar calendar. After the shooting happened with the Islamic terrorists, the Islamic calendar was distasteful for me. I'm sure you can understand why. And so it happened right here in Jerusalem. I'm not too far from where it happened. And it kind of turned me off to anything Islamic. I'm sure there's many Islamics that don't approve of that and are not into it, but I stopped it for a while. And so, but essentially it should include the Islamic calendar because, not all Islamics are jihadists. And some Islamics do want peace. And this is a calendar of reconciliation. In fact, 89 is the numerical value of unity in English gematria. And that's one of the reasons why this is called the PL-89. It's meant to engender unity, to create and to unify, to create peace among all viewpoints and to bring humanity into essential truth. Mathematically speaking, I don't know if this has ever been done before, although I've read about it in the past, but not on any, I think, major scale. When people go to debates, they don't talk mathematics in terms of truth claims, but this seeks to handle truth claims in a mathematical way. So I think it should be very interesting, the type of results that we find. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Today, again, the numbers are 31 and 10. And I'm going to also include the number 30 as well. So 31, 10, and 30. Okay? Now, going back to what I was saying before, this format of 8 rows, and then, 8 columns, okay, and 9 rows, is 72 boxes. Those are the 72 names of God that are derived from verses in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verses 19 through 21. Each verse has exactly 72 letters, which is an interesting phenomenon in its own right. Those verses form a certain types of names that are constructed by the 3 letters that come from the verse. Now, there's 2 ways of doing it. There's in Kabbalah, without going to the whole, Kabbalistic lesson, but basically 2 of the qualities or properties that God it uses in His managing the world. Very, very important qualities are chesed, which is kindness, mercy, loving kindness, the quality of being softer or letting things go in a sense. And then the opposite, which is stringency, severity, strictness, judgment, harshness, any one of those. And there's a balance between those 2. And Kabbalists seek to understand how these properties play out in everything in life. And there's just the right amounts and measures, and I'm learning about them, so I'm not exactly an expert in it, but the parts of theme is the configurations, the way they're somehow blended or work, the synthesis of them, how they act in different situations in life. And so this name is no different. The 72-letter name has been understood in the classical way it's made, is that it goes, you read the first verse in regular order, and the middle verse is actually read in reverse. Reverse is always the quality of din, judgment, or harshness, or severity, strictness, constriction, and then the final verse is written like forward. Is written forward. So forward, reverse, forward. So you have a combination of chesed, and then gevura, and then chesed again. However, there's another way of interpreting this 72-letter name in which it's completely all chesed. Thank goodness it's not all judgment. I mean, I haven't seen anyone who interprets it that way, but there's one that it's all loving kindness, mercy. And I heard someone say, who was teaching on this, that many people want to focus on that one because today we need all the loving kindness that we can get. We're not on the level where we can even stand in terms of measuring up to what God considers justice or just or correct. We would fail in a second. And so basically what I did was my study of these names is I actually do both. I record the classical one, which is Chesed, Gevura, Chesed, and I also include the less common one, although it is still printed, which is all Chesed. And what I do is I take the two names and I add them together, and then that's what I call the Tav. Tav is T-A-V, which is an acronym for Tiferet, average value. And if you look on the Sfirot, it's Chesed on the right, Gevura on the left, and then Tiferet is the synthesis of them, is the unique and beautiful, it's known as beauty, the beautiful balance between those two. So what I do is I take those two, even the one that's Gevura is still mixed in with Chesed, but I call that the Gevura because there's some Gevura in it. So I take the Chesed, Gevura, Chesed, and I mix it together with the complete Chesed, and the two numbers are then added together and then divided by 2, and then I get the average value. And that synthesis, that Tiferet, is the synthesis of these two names, and that number is something that I pay attention to and work with in order to discern things. And so that's the thing for today. Now, in addition to this being a calendar, it's such a multi-level calendar that, and I hope I'm getting these ideas across, but it's a lunar calendar because it's Jewish. It's a solar calendar because it's Gregorian. It's a Daf Yomi calendar because it's also a Julian calendar, which is also a form of a solar calendar, and it's also a tool. It's also a counting chart, a counting table of the 72-letter name. So the way it works is that 72. See, this is actually 80 boxes, right? Okay, so it's 8 times 10. But it can include 72 as well, because 8 times 9 is 72. So it just, you start from here, and the difference is that you count, in the Hebrew, you count from right to left, okay? But in the regular calendar system, you count from, of course, left to right, like English, or like any numbers that you read, you're reading that way. But the things, again, I do both. So while I'm counting this way and I'm going through time, it's like the arrow of time is taking me from here, and it's going in a downward way. By the time it's finished here, it completes. At the same time, I'm counting this way too. Okay, I'm counting both ways. Now, I haven't yet understood time to go from here and go up. It's possible that it would do that to start here and then to go, and it finishes here. I haven't thought to do that, but it just seemed to be intuitive to go like this. Now, the reason why I explained all that is that today is something really, really amazing. In my system of counting, and good, I'm glad I didn't turn that off. I hope this can stay. Okay. The Tiferet average value. Okay, today the name happened. If you're familiar with the 72 letter names, the 61st name, because it starts like 61 days ago, I started a new system. Basically, there's 72 names, and then I started Rosh Hashanah last year, and then I went 72 days, each name per a day, and it's going this way. So after 72 days, that would take me to the 12th of Kislev, right? So that means that once I got down here to the final name, like Mem Vav Mem, okay, in box 32, I would have started in the 13th day of Kislev, back up to here again. Then I'm going here until another 72 days, until like around the 24th or 25th of Shvat, around there. Okay, and then again, 72. Again. And then that takes you to, I'm not exactly sure, it's 72 Shvat. So it takes you to, so Adar, Nisan, right, will take you to around the 9th of ER, around 72 days from 25 Shvat will be like 9 ER. Again, I started 72 days again. Then from 9th of ER until sometime in Av, I think, again, ER, Sivan, and Tammuz, maybe at the end of Tammuz or so. And then we're in our final 72 right now. In that count, so 72 times 5 is 360. And this is another study in its own right, to say it. I noticed that I have a tendency to pronounce, sometimes I skip over words. The 360 day, this has come up, the 360 day year as a prophetic year, as opposed to a 354 day year like the Jewish Hebrew calendar, or a 365 day like the solar calendar. What was noteworthy to me is that 360 is exactly at the middle, maybe 359, maybe 359.5 or something. But it's right in the middle between the 365 and the 354. And in a full year like this, where the year has 355 days of the Hebrew, so now we're into something interesting with this 360, but I haven't cracked that code yet. So I'm sort of like, I'm not sure what to do going forward because we're very close to Rosh Hashanah now. But anyway, the point is that today's name is the 61st name, right? And the 61st name on the, if you remember, the Chesed Gvura Chesed configuration the name is Vav Mem Bet. Vav Mem Bet has a numerical value of 48. Okay? Now, in the Chesed configuration, the name comes out to be Vav Hey Bet. That has a numerical value of 13. So what I do is, my own process is I add 48 and 13. So what do I get? 61. This is amazing. I haven't seen this happen, but in the 61st name, the average value, the 61st name, if you add the two together, it equals 61. That I haven't seen that happen so far. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think so. I checked a few of them near it, and nothing comes close to that. I mean, I just did name 50 is 108, is a 60, 54. Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, they might come close, but they don't have the exact number from what I've seen so far. The 61st name, if you add them together, the two names is equal to 61. But it gets better from my perspective because I don't stop at that. I don't just add them together. I get the average value, so I add them together, 61. And what's 61 divided by 2? Of course, it's going to be 30 and a half, right? 30 and a half is exactly the two numbers that's on this calendar for today. If I'm counting on the 72 name count, it brings me to box number 30. And if I'm counting just September 16th, it's going to be box 31. So it's 31 and 30. Of course, you add them together, the average value is going to be 30 and a half. And that matches with the name that was counting. And these are counting from two different directions. One's from this way, one's from this way. And on this day, they met. And so I would even include the number 30 as today's number, because I usually don't count the number of boxes from the 72-letter name, but today it's just amazing that the counting box number 61 for the 72 count is 30, okay? And if I count just the regular way, like September 16th, it's going to be 31. That equals the same number as the average value of today's name, which itself is an anomaly because the name usually doesn't, the combination of names doesn't have the same value as what number name it is, okay? So those are three or four anomalies that are absolutely astounding. And if I ever get down or I feel like, what am I doing? Or this is just totally confusing or like, what am I doing? Every time I see things like this, I say, wow, there is really, really some very powerful, high intelligence here that I don't actually grasp fully, but I get glimpses of it. And these are the glimpses that I get, and they give me the push to keep going and keep plowing through this very abstract and difficult esoteric stuff that I must admit I don't have a grasp on it, but it intrigues me enough that I want to plow through it and find what this can do in terms of many things which have been explained that they should do. But just one more thing I should mention, that today in the rectangle, I might have mentioned already that we start, this is going to be for another video, but there's a system called events. Events, it's sort of like an idea, it's a concept in cryptography, but also it's an understanding of cryptocurrency in a way. But it's really based on memory, calculation, matching, and then recursion, and developing. It's almost like a fractal concept of fusing, blending memory with the idea of currency, and it can be applied to cryptocurrency, and it's using the energy of money to be the driving force behind data mining. And so, just without explaining these events, today is the second event, okay? And the second event, by the rule of the rectangle, today is also box 2. But what makes it even more interesting is that it's on Zavachim 2, the Daf Yomi is Zavachim 2. But what's interesting is that the last event it's very recursive. Check this out. Event could be 3 days. Event is also a week. Event is 3 weeks. Okay? And event is also 9 weeks. And an event is also 27 weeks. It's all the same. It's just called an event. And the only way you know which event you're in, let's just say you're dealing with a certain event of, let's say the first event of, let's say the third event of the first event. That can be referring to a few things. That can be referring to the first 3 days of it, or it can be referring to the third week out of 3 weeks. That's the first of the third event. Could be, and an event can also be 3 days too. But here's the thing: when you do gematrias and you write it in a sentence form, today is the second event of the second event, let's say, that has a numerical value. So I'm seeing glimpses of this too, that once you only work by values in gematrias, you don't have to keep track of all these recursions. They all line up somehow. It's like you don't have to say whether it's a week or 3 days or 3 weeks or 9 weeks or 27 weeks, but then 27 weeks is half of 54. And what's 54? 54 are the number of parshas in the Torah. And that is the event. The Torah is the event.